Hey, what's going on, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy. Thanks so much for taking a little bit of time today to hang out with me. I really appreciate it. I'm coming at you guys from a different angle today. In today's video, I am going to be ranking some of the blue counter spells that you can run in Commander. We're looking at this through a Commander lens. That's what I play, and that's the lens that I, feel like I look at things through. So anyways, this setup is a little bit hard for me, so I just kind of want to know your opinion about it. I had to take my sweater off. It was very warm. Anyways, these videos are a little bit hard to film because it's hard to get everything kind of in frame or whatever. So let me know how this looks and if you guys think this setup is okay. Let me know if you have any tips for future rankings. Let me know if there's anything you want me to rank as well. But in this video, we're going to be looking at a couple of blue. We're specifically looking at blue, mono blue counter spells. Like I said, we're looking at this from an EDH lens. And yeah, I found this tier list. I didn't make any edits to it or anything like that. This was just a pre-made tier list or whatever that already kind of exists. But yeah, let's just jump into it. There's not really a specific order that I threw these in here, but I'm going to start with the classic, which is counterspell, because I feel like that makes the most sense. And I feel like we just have to put counterspell in S tier, right? It's just a classic. It counters everything. It's 2 mana. I don't really know how you could go wrong with counterspell. You know what I mean? And I picked this art because this is the Modern Horizons art, and it's probably my favorite counterspell art. Let me know what your favorite counterspell art is. Okay. Let's next do Dissolve. Okay. So I feel like Dissolve is fine. I don't think this card is particularly amazing. I like that it says counter target a spell like it's anything. And I do like that you get to scry 1. However, it is 3 mana, which potentially might be detrimental. Do I put this in B or do I put this in C? I'm going to put this in C, because I feel like there are cards that we're going to talk about that are just so much better than this card, but I don't think it's trash. You know what I mean? This to me, D is trash. I don't think it's trash. Okay, next up we have Swan Song. This is a fan favorite. People really love Swan Song a lot. My thing is I feel like it is slightly narrow, right? It's hitting enchantments, instants, and sorceries, so you're not hitting everything, and you're giving them a 2/2. However, it is 1 mana, and I feel like the audience, that's a cat, I feel like the audience that this is trying to hit is your, CEDH player, and the reality of the situation is I'm not that person. So maybe if you're a CEDH commander player, you're wow, this card is awesome and I see this in every single one, and we're going to talk about a card that's actually kind of similar to this, and I feel like through that lens I respect understood, because every mana feels like it counts when you're playing in those more competitive formats. But if you're playing in a casual more setting, I can probably get away, and if you're on a budget, yeah, you can get away with running Dissolve. Not I think that Swan Song is particularly an expensive card. I personally don't love Swan Song. I just think it's fine. I think I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, but I don't know. This is not meant to be serious too. We're gonna put this in B. Also, this is really hard having to adjust these. Wow, this is challenging. Nobody told me this would be challenging. Okay, mana drain's immediately going into S. Oh my god, you guys. Okay. So I am going to talk about this a little bit when I post my Magic wish list for next year. When I post that video, I'll be filming that video in December. Anyways, I had bought myself a foil mana drain from the most recent set. What was set did this come out in? Whatever, I don't know what the most recent set is that came out. Anyway, so I purchased myself a mana drain foil for $45, and oh my god, you guys, this card is absolutely, that's the other cat. This card is absolutely incredible. Hold on, let me open the window for her 1 second. The thing with my cats is they just need to literally settle. They just need to figure it out. They just need to get to where they need to go, and then they're fine. You know what I mean? Anyways, so I bought myself a mana drain, and I truly I'm never going back. You know what I mean? This card is incredible. You counter anything, and then you just get mana equal to its CMC, which is so good. I'm honestly, my thing is with this is I don't really care about maximizing the value off of what I get. You know what I mean? I don't care about oh, I'm only gonna counter this spell because it's 7 mana or whatever. But honestly, if it's 7 mana, it's probably something that's really good. You don't ever gosh, whenever Paul and I sit down and play a commander game and he's tap 10 mana, I'm oh my god, what is happening right now? Like, what is this big thing that's going to happen? So, anyways. Nelsie, come here. We got a little partner join us. Anyways, yeah, Mana Drain is incredible. Like, it's one of those, like, if you are like, I'm bored and I just want to blow, like, $40, buy a Mana Drain. Like, you know what I mean? Okay, next up we have Rewind. I really love Rewind. I have this card in... What do I have this card in? I don't know. Now, when I think about it, like, and that's the interesting thing about these tier rankings, because you're looking at Rewind and you're like, this card's sick. Is it on the same level as these? No. But it's very good. I do really like this card a lot. You know, it's... Oh, God. That was freaky. But, anyways, you counter anything and you get to untap for one. So it's basically like a free spell. I really love this card. I'm going to put this in A right now. And then, I don't know, I might change it later. But, anyways, sorry, these sizes are all uneven. I don't know how people do this. Mystic Confluence. I remember when this card came out in, I believe it was one of those commander decks, right? And everybody, like, was like, this card's so good or whatever. Like, this card's fine. Like, I don't think it's bad. It does a lot of different things, but I'm not a huge fan of the unless it's controller pays because they're so bad at late stages of the game. And I like the flexibility in this card, but if we're going to sit here and say it's on the same level of Swan Song or like Rewind, like, it's not on the same level, you know? I feel like I'm going to put this card in C. I don't really like Mystic Confluence a lot. Maybe that's an unpopular opinion. I remember when this card was really expensive. I don't think it's as expensive anymore, but I'm not a huge fan of it. Okay, Dissipate is very similar to Dissolve. I like Dissipate a little bit better because of the amount of graveyard recursion. So I'm going to put this pretty solidly in B tier because I like that it does exile it. And it counters anything. It's 3 mana. I just think it's slightly better than Dissolve. Like, if you're, like, between Dissolve and Dissipate for some reason, I would pick Dissipate. You know what I mean? Okay, this is the card that I was talking about earlier that reminds me of Swan Song and is, like, I feel like a CEDH player's, like card, like, a lot of CEDH players I feel like would run this card. Let me know if you play CEDH and you run this card. I guess let me know if you don't. Let me know if you're like, nah, Tracy, no one plays this card. This guy was playing this card the other day, and I had never seen it. But anyways, this card reminds me a lot of Swan Song because it counters a thing, and then they get 2 treasure tokens. I feel very similarly to how I feel about this with Swan Song. I don't really like it. Again, like, I think if you're playing, like, competitive things where, like, it matters, 1 mana matters, the difference between 1 and 2 mana matters, you know what I mean? I don't really like it personally. I don't like giving my opponent stuff, and I honestly, I would rather give them a 2/2 than I'd give them mana. You know what I mean? That just sounds really, really not great to me. I don't want to give my opponents things. You know what I mean? Okay. Negate. I like Negate a lot. I think that Negate is a super solid card. It's going to hit a lot of stuff, and it's 2 mana. We're going to put it in A. I feel pretty confident about that. I like Negate. I think it's good. I just picked random art. I've, like, never seen that art before, which is, like, so funny. Okay, Archmage's Charm. Does anyone remember when this card was, like, really expensive? Or am I making that up? I feel like this card once upon a time used to be really expensive. This card is similar to Mystic Confluence in that it gives you those kind of options, but you only get to pick, one of them. So technically for 3 mana, you get to counter target spell, which looking at that is a worse version of counter spell. Or target player draws 2 cards, or you gain control of target non-land permanent with CMC 1 or less. Like, I guess you could gain control of, like, their Soul Ring or something, which, like, actually seems pretty good. I don't know. This card's fine. I don't think it's particularly, like, actually it's more than fine. I guess this card is good. Do I put this in A or do I put this in B? I feel like we're going to put this in B. I think it's fine. I don't really I wouldn't run this card. Like, when I think about this, like, these I would run. These, you know. I feel like there's better things, you know. Okay. So we have Cancel, which is very similar. God, I feel like I'm getting to the point where these things are just so repetitive because, like, all this stuff is, like, the same. Like, when you think about it like this, if you're gonna run, you'd probably run Archmage's Charm over Cancel, right? So, like, I feel like I can't put Cancel any higher because, yeah, this is 1 colorless mana and this is triple blue. But I feel like Cancel is just fine. You know what I mean? Maybe we put this up here. I don't know. I'm gonna put that up here and then I'm gonna put this here. Because, like, I feel like, I don't think, like, Cancel is particularly bad or whatever. I just feel like it's similar to, like, Dissolve or Dissipate. But you'd probably want to run Dissipate over Cancel. You know, so like if these are in the same tier, this has got to be like over here. You know what I mean? That's probably what we got to do, right? Okay, I just did something really weird. Okay. Fierce Guardianship. Okay, this is immediately S tier. This card is ridiculous. I am incredibly annoyed by any person in this world who owns this card, because I'm not one of those people. This card is so dumb. This entire cycle is ridiculous. So basically, if you control your commander, which is like the easiest thing in the world to do, like, let's be honest with you, you just get to cast this for free. It's absolutely ridiculous. And it is non-creature, but who cares? It's a free counterspell. Free 99. So good. Oh my god, funny story. I was playing with my friends. And one of my friends played this card, Spell Crumple, and I was like, I have to talk about this card because he played it. I feel like this card is, like, I actually really don't like this card. It is counter target spell, but, like, if we're in the subject of, like, 3 mana counter spells, like, I feel like there's better things to run because it puts it on the bottom of their library, so they have the potential to get it back, which I don't love. And then I also feel like then you get Spell Crumple back because it goes on the bottom of your library, but I don't like this card. Sorry, it's going in D tier. I don't like this card. There's better things to run, you know what I mean? Next up, we have Arcane Denial. I don't really like Arcane Denial. Again, I think if you're probably watching this and you play CDH, you're like, wow, this is a really good, like, CDH card or whatever because it's 2 mana, whatever. But, like, yeah, you get to draw that card, but you get to give your opponents those 2 cards, which I don't really love. It is counter anything, but, like, here's my rationale behind this, right? Is I would rather run, like, Dissipate over Arcane Denial. Do you know what I mean? Because, like, I don't want to give my opponent stuff. I don't know. I wouldn't run this card. Let's go in and see. I stand by this decision. Okay, next we get into Unwind. Unwind is very similar to Rewind, except that it is 1 less mana, and it is only non-creature spell, so by nature, it's worse. I would not run this card. I don't like it. I think if you're going to run something, run Rewind. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. It's not bad. I just don't really love it, you know? Okay, sorry art is so bad I could not find a good picture. I forgot this card existed. It's called Disallow. You kind of target spell, activated ability, or triggered ability. I think this card's fine. I think that there's a lot... We've been talking a lot about the 3 mana. Like, what is a good 3 mana one? And I guess that this hits, like, slightly more stuff. Like, I'm trying to think if I was running, like, a 3 mana spell that wasn't Archmage's Charm, which one would I run? Let's see, we have Dissipate, Unwind, Disallow, I don't know. What would I rather? I guess I'd put it here. I don't know. I got a lot in B tier, but I don't really know how I feel about it. Okay. Next up, we have Disdainful Stroke. Okay, this is, like, I have a really dumb story about this card. Okay, so basically, my friend, Vincent, one day back when I was playing Magic at Mage's Sanctum, basically, I don't know what had happened, but I, like, had walked up to the counter to, like, get something, and he was like, hey, did you ask me about, like, Disdainful Strokes? And I was like, no. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he gives me a playset of, like, these, like, this art, whatever, which, like, isn't very expensive. But for some reason, I've always just had, like, a soft spot in my heart for Disdainful Stroke. And, like, I know that's, like, really dumb because, like, it's just, like, it doesn't mean it. Like, it was so small. But I really like this card. I don't know. I'm going to put it in A. I like it. It counters anything with CMC 4 greater, which honestly is a lot, and it's 2 mana, and, you know, does a lot of things. I think it's really cool. Okay, so I just went this entire video without realizing that I didn't grab Force of Will. And so I feel like I need to also, like, just let you know that, like, if you're watching this video, like, thinking about, like, oh, what counter spells I should buy or whatever, like, I don't think you can get, like, some of these for, like, inexpensive. You know, Counterspell is, like, very cheap, and that's one of the best. You know, Mana Drain is expensive, and Fierce Guardianship is expensive, Force of Will is expensive. But I'm gonna put this in S tier because it's when I see the effects of Force of Will, like, when I see my blue mage friend tapped out, and I'm like, oh, they got nothing, and then they play Force of Will or they play Fierce Guardianship. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so incredibly ridiculous. So for that reason, I think it's incredibly strong. I don't think you need to go and run out and like buy a Force of Will. Again, especially if you're playing in like lower commander level games, like you're playing at not more competitive settings. Like you can go out and buy a Disdainful Shore for like 35 cents. You know what I mean? Like you're okay. It's okay. It's going to hit a lot of things. You know what I mean? And this card I think might have been, you know, pretty expensive or whatever. But like a lot of these are like really inexpensive that you can go out and buy. You know what I mean? So yeah. Anyways, guys, that is it for these, this tier ranking list. I feel like this was really fun, and I really enjoyed like ranking it. I got my cancel. We'll just put you to the side. You're on the low rank of the B tier. But yeah, anyways, I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favorite blue counter spell is, and let me know what other videos you want me to rank. If you enjoyed this video, go and give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you're not already, and I'll catch you in my next video.